For the third installment of our videos, let's talk a little bit about social media. Because although we all love social media and it's a kind of a fun way to spend a lot of our time, it's really become the highest point of human interaction for most of us, kind of on a day-to-day basis. And what are the effects of that? Well, one of the effects that can happen when we live a lot of our life online is that we start to normalize the behaviors we're seeing online, that we're starting to believe that everybody's life is a little bit more perfect than it really is because our technology has come so far that we can filter or show just the very best parts of our days, or only our good sides of our faces, or only present when our hair is done or we feel like we look attractive in that moment. But when everyone is doing that, when every freshman in high school is putting that forward, it starts to skew our reality a little bit. And what happens to me and what happens to a lot of people is that when we see that time and time again, we lose that logical piece of us that says, she doesn't look like that all the time. She's not going on all those vacations all the time. But we start to compare. Now, high school is a place where we use comparison a lot anyway, probably in a way that's not in our best interest. High schoolers are compared based on grades. You're compared based on what classes you take. There's some comparison that goes on by who's in this crowd and who's in that crowd, who made the team, who didn't, who made the play, who didn't. And all of that comparison adds up, and we all find ourselves on the rotten end of it, meaning I'm not as good as she is, or I'm not as good as he is, or I'm not as good as they are, or gosh, I just don't live up to this new standard. Now, logically, and you've been told this so much already in your 14 or 15 years, but we know logically that's not the standard. It's not real. But what happens again is that we're shown it over and over and over and over again. And the strongest among us still can't go on believing that's not really real and I don't really live up. So I'm afraid that this thing that we love called social media is something that we love to do, but we really have to remind ourselves on a day-to-day basis, is this having a long-term effect on my self-esteem? Is this having a long-term effect on my identity? And am I representing myself online in a way that is contributing to that problem long-term, or is a little bit more honest? The deal about social media, and again, this is so overstated, but so true, is that it lives forever. It goes on forever. And even Snapchat, even things we think, no, that's just for a split second, then it disappears. It really doesn't. It lives in Snapchat's vaults kind of forever. We know that people can go back in and search those, even though we believe nobody can see them anymore. So while we are making choices of what we put out on social media, it's really important for us to say, does this represent me in the way that I want to be represented? 2, would I be okay with almost everybody who I know seeing this if that ends up happening? 3, is what I put out on social media contributing to other people's perhaps not feeling good enough because we're making a comparison all the time? Please sit with your group and have this discussion. How have I been representing myself on social media? How does being on social media help and hurt my day-to-day life? And do I want to make some changes around my use of social media for myself and for the other people who are in my sphere of influence?